Welcome to the monthly podcast of the Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership, which is home to programming of economic development, workforce development, tourism, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Foundation. It is our effort and it is our hope that we will continue these each month to bring you more information about your county, to communicate with you more, and to let you know more about the leadership of Shelbyville and Bedford. So with that said, today we're here with Mayor Chad Graham. He is obviously, I would consider him a visionary leader. He from day one, he's laid out a vision. He said what he wanted to achieve. He's put the resources and the people in the right place to make those things occur. So we're looking forward to a great conversation with Mayor Chad Graham. And basically what we're going to talk about is we want to know what would he say to young people? What would he say to the regular average citizen? What does he think is the things that really make Bedford County successful? And we look forward to the conversation. So you're in your second term as mayor, right?
I am.
Okay.
I took office in 2018 and re-elected in 2022.
Okay. What made you, I know there's probably 500 reasons as to why you wanted to be mayor, but what were some of the reasons that you wanted to be mayor of Bedford County?
Yeah, of course I grew up here and was in public safety for a long time. My real career, you might say, was in EMS. I was paramedic forever, was the director of the system from 1997 to 2014 when I stepped away from that, preparing to run for office one day. But again, growing up here, my family was here, my roots were here, and I wanted to see a community that I knew that my family wasn't going anywhere. They didn't necessarily go to college and move off like a lot of families do, and so I was just committed to leaving it better than I found it. That's really what we grew up being told, is that your circumstances don't dictate your outcome, and leave it better than you found it. And so I felt like I had an opportunity to get involved in public safety and really had a call in there with EMS and taking care of folks in their time of need, really, and enjoyed that a lot. And having been in the government from that perspective, I felt like there was a lot of things that we weren't doing maybe at the ultimate levels of government, elected official, full-time elected positions such as the mayor's office, where I felt like we could probably apply stronger business principles and maybe take advantage of some opportunities with some next generation thinking. So that was at the core of it. But I like to tell people all the time, ultimately, I want my grandbabies to live in Bedford. And so having been from here, my daughter and her husband and my grandchildren live in Rutherford County currently, and I expect to get them back. But this community has been designed, or kind of felt like it was set up for many years to if you were successful, you went off to college, you had a strong career or skill set, you didn't have really opportunities back here in Bedford to come and really exercise those or appreciate those like you would somewhere else. And so I wanted to change the dynamic and the footing for that. And by God's grace, we got elected, and we're moving in the right direction, I think.
Okay. So we'll come back to the opportunities piece, but let's, I'm sure that depending on who you ask in the county depends on the answer that you would get, but what do you see as is the role of the Bedford County mayor? What do you see are what's he or she supposed to do? What's that role?
Yeah, that's a great question and an interesting question, and I do think it depends on what audience you set with as to maybe how you would best answer that, because I don't think there's one word that certainly or necessarily describes it. When I talk with young people, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds, I talk about really thinking about the mayor being sort of the captain of the ship. You don't necessarily navigate daily, you don't necessarily touch everything that happens on board, but at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. And so I do believe no matter what scenario or environment you ask or talk about what the mayor's role or responsibility is the buck does stop with me. And I think you're the face of the county government during that time. But the two things that I really think a mayor is or should be, or I've strived to be, is really a cheerleader and a facilitator. And I think about cheerleader for the community. I want to encourage them to be proud of their community. I want to challenge them, energize them to want more from their community. When I think about the facilitator side of that, though, I think about all my department heads. I think I've got about 16 department heads one way or another. And again, I don't run the ambulance daily. I don't do law enforcement on a regular basis, but being a facilitator to those experts in those fields, and I do expect those department heads to be experts in their particular discipline or field. And so working with them facilitating is how I feel that we connect the community to our department heads, and then ultimately to the mission and vision that we have as my administration, as your mayor.
Okay. You mentioned young people. You know, Bedford County is, it's a diverse county. There's a lot of different age groups, a lot of people doing different things, but I liked how you talked about young people. If you were looking at a kid in, maybe in the 4th, 5th, 6th grade right now that is growing up in Bedford County, and you had the opportunity to look at that child in the eyes, give them a hug, what would you say to them?
Yeah, and I enjoy the opportunity to see the younger people, even a tad bit older than that as well, really to just inspire them or encourage them that I grew up right here in Bedford just like they have or they are. And I come from pretty modest beginnings. We weren't what you'd call dirt poor, but my grandparents lived in a trailer park. I spent a lot of time there as a young child. Some of the best days of my life is with your grandparents. So again, your circumstances don't necessarily dictate the outcome. I think that's important. That's one of the things I want to inspire them. I certainly grew up being told, leave it better than you found it, and most importantly, believe in something greater than yourself. And so if we can in any way inspire that or help them understand that, maybe they don't have both parents in the home today, or maybe they don't have a new car in their family, does not doom them to not be successful. I heard it said, and I like this a lot, it's not how you start in life, it's how you finish. We're all going to have those situations and setbacks and things that we'd want to do over about if we can get, and young people struggle. The home unit that you and I would have grown up in was much different than the children today. And having that strong family unit is critical, and it's weak today across the country. It's not unique to Bedford. So I think it's important that we show and put a positive spin on who we are and what we can do and what we believe we can do to be that inspiration to them at the very young ages. And then they go on to do what they want to do. Most importantly, I love to tell the 17, 18-year-olds, the ones graduate from high school, chase your dreams. Chase your dreams while you're young and you don't have all the other challenges that will come along with marriage and kids and what life will have to hold. But hopefully someday it brings you back to Bedford. Right. And then there you can enrich the community that helped you get off on the right foot.
We were talking about young people, and you kind of hit on it already, but 53% of high school seniors in Bedford County go directly into the workforce. They don't go to TCAT or anywhere else. They go directly into the workforce. So we've got a lot of high school seniors that are going to be entering into the workforce. So let's kind of continue on that same vein of what would you say to them?
Everyone has a place in the community to grow and thrive and support the community. And so the workforce development piece of that, the new married couples, my dad was a machinist. He did not finish high school, but went back and got that trade, what they referred to at the trade school many years ago. He's 87 years old. My mom, out of high school, went to beauty school. And so that was an environment we grew up in where we had both. I was fortunate to have both parents in the home. And basically my mom stayed home to raise us as children, but my dad worked 2 jobs to make sure he could feed and provide for the things that we had to have. But I come from that very basic core value, as I referred to earlier about my grandparents, hardworking. My grandmother never made more than minimum wage, but it doesn't, again, that doesn't take love out of the equation, that doesn't take pride out of the equation, that doesn't take opportunity out of the equation. It can be a handicap to you a little bit on the front end if you allow it to be, but I want an environment that's rich here in Bedford, that everybody has the opportunity to learn. I want to give everybody the best chance, the best outcome. That's why I'm so passionate about K-3 education, because I believe that's how we get people out of poverty. We got to make sure they get off on the right foot with that base education skill.
Okay. Sounds like you're a big believer in education as well. Tell me where that comes from. Where did that get instilled in you? What have you experienced that makes you such a believer in education?
Yeah, because I came from the system being backwards. I graduated high school, went to the military thinking that was going to be my path for education, career, technical skill. Got injured while I was in the military, wound up back here, basically had to go back to school and back to school and back to school to ultimately get the skill levels, the trades, and the opportunities that I've been able to appreciate and enjoy. The University of Alabama in Huntsville is where the medic part of that came in. And it's difficult once you're married. It's difficult once you've been out in life to come back and kind of establish the basics. And it was clear to me, and it's been clear to me, I sat on the school board for 10 years. So many of these children, outside of the family dynamic that makes it difficult for them, we've not always given them the best chance, the best outcome by making sure by third grade, their third grade level reading and math and problem solving. I've learned way more out of school than I ever learned in school. But the truth was, without that foundational career, critical thinking, basic math, reading, writing, understand, all the things that are so critical in elementary education, it really makes it even more difficult for you. So I have a passion for that. I have a passion for career technical education because I grew up and my family all worked with their hands. They were not scholars, but they've been able to provide for their family. They've contributed to the community. They're good citizens. We'll take a whole bunch of them. That's exactly what we need. And we want everybody that wants to expand their opportunities to certainly have that opportunity and take that, but recognize that not everyone will do that. When I was on the school board, here's how we were being told basically the education was working. Only about 50% of the kids that graduated from high school would go on to college, and only about 50% of that 50% would see it through. So 3 out of 4 were not ultimately going to be able to capture that 4-year degree or on beyond that. So what happens to those that stayed on that path and did not ever be introduced or the opportunity to appreciate career technical education or understanding the workforce and how you critical think and problem solve in those areas? And so those things made those really real to me because that's much more of what me and my family relate to than necessarily PhDs and what have you. I've been blessed, a daughter that graduated from Belmont Law there and private law school. So and again, this school system, public education, made that opportunity for my daughter to succeed. I have a child with special needs, as you know, that was really set to not be able to learn according to the data and even the medical experts. But through this K-12 education system and the Career Technical College, he graduated with a regular diploma. He graduated from the Tech College. He's now an IT manager in the business world, making his own way. And so I absolutely believe that K-12 education and making sure we get them off on the right foot is critical to their success, and it's absolutely how we get people out of poverty.
So let's there's a lot of great things going on in Bedford County.
Absolutely.
A lot of great things. A lot of things are right. A lot of things are moving in the right direction. If you were looking at a young couple that had their first kid, their late 20s, early 30s, what would you say to encourage them? What would you tell them about Bedford County?
Yeah, I think the critical thing where the county government and really through the school board and of course state and federal funds is that our first responsibility is to have the right education system for that child to go into. I'd say it to you like this. If you're in a failing school, you're in a school where the community doesn't make education a priority, people that have choices about where they live aren't going to choose your community. They're going to want their child to be in the best school environment they can be in, and why would they not? They should absolutely want that. What then it lends itself to when you don't make education a priority, and I feel like that we struggled there in Bedford for a long time, but we're back, and I'm excited to be a part of that. It's not done by me, but it's done by a lot of people recognizing and pulling in the same direction. But to me, that's the one thing that I owe them if they can't get anything else from my community is the right, rich learning environment for that child. Now, those parents, depending on what their background and the career path that they've chosen, we want to be an environment that nurtures that gives them opportunity for success. Maybe they want to go back to school and get a skill set that's in career technical. We're excited to be a part of a brand new TCAP facility right here in Bedford. MTSU, as you can talk more about than I can, but has come to make investments in Bedford. We have Motlow already right here in Bedford. So I think education is again, all roads lead back to education, and education is how we get people out of poverty. There's no social program, in my view, that we can come up with or add a little more money to that's really going to make that kind of difference. We want to help people and meet them where they are, but the success and the future lies in those children understanding, having the opportunity to comprehend and make their own destiny. And to me, that's it, education.
Outstanding. I think a great answer. Great answer. So let's do this. If I were able to round up everybody that has moved to Bedford County this month and just say, this is your county mayor, Chad Graham, and he's going to give you a welcome, how would you welcome those new folks to Bedford County?
Well, certainly we're growing, whether we like it or not. One of the things that I ran on, again, back in 2018, knowing it was coming, because again, seeing it in public safety for years in that environment before it actually got here. The truth is people coming to Bedford whether you like it or not. We can either live with what shows up, or we can go after what we want. And I ran on, let's go after what we want. And that was based on the three categories really that I thought were important in leadership and an administration of government, such as a mayor's office. And of course, that was education, public safety, and infrastructure that leads to jobs. And people say, what does infrastructure mean? It means a lot of things, but what I focus mostly on, and you're a product of that, is I felt like we did not have a strong economic development engine in Bedford to help us transition and bring the right resources to our community to attract people that were looking for a better life, that wanted to enrich our community. As I like to say, wanted to pull in on the wagon, not get over in it. The other big thing I wanted to focus on, because I think this again is the next generation key to a successful community, is broadband. And as you know, we've been aggressively involved with the help of United Communications with getting some federal and state grants to make some backbone investments into the infrastructure piece of connectivity for broadband, because entrepreneurs, business professionals, millennials, they're not going to live and they can't conduct business where they don't have high-speed internet connection. Now, we're not going to be able to do that in every household, in every place, but laying down the backbone, we are set to be one of the first, if not the first, rural communities in Tennessee that will have their backbone in place for full connectivity. Again, that won't mean every house in Bedford will be able to have high-speed internet, but we are far ahead of the counties that are around us in most cases. And we're excited. There's 2 more opportunities for grant money, and we're already in the hopper. One should have already been awarded, and the state is delayed for whatever reason, makes the state delay. And then there's going to be that end user last piece to come from the federal government. And again, we're going to be well suited to take advantage of that in every way, because so much has already been done here in Bedford. And again, this is not some vision or idea that I shared alone. There was a lot of good people that come into the system early on. The county commission has been fully supportive of this vision, and so those opportunities are there. So when people come in, I like to say, welcome to Bedford. We're happy to have you, but we want you to come be a part of our community and enrich our community, not change our community or ask us to be where you came from. And so sometimes maybe that's not received as well as it should be, but I want to be crystal clear that I love Bedford. I want Bedford to be somewhere that's attractive to others, but we want you to embrace Bedford for who we are, not come to try to make Bedford where you were. And so when you say that, it's a double-edged sword, but I tell you over and over and over again, of course, Tennessee is a very popular state, no state income tax. We're red to the roots. We still have traditional values. We're not perfect in how we see things or do things, but we see people from all over the country moving to Tennessee, and when I meet people, a lot of them are from the state of California. I like to tell them, welcome to Tennessee, but understand now you're a Tennessean. And they warmly embrace that, and in most cases will absolutely either say we're certainly conservative, or they may even say we're Christian conservatives. And so clearly they're leaving areas where what we see nationally and some of this cancel culture and kind of upside down of well-established truths, they're fleeing those places to be in places where we still have a strong moral basis for our existence and who we are and what we believe. And so I don't want anything to happen to that. I want to preserve that at all costs.
So You know, like you mentioned, there's a lot of people moving to the to the southeastern part of the United States. And obviously Tennessee is part of that. Tennessee is one of the fastest growing states in the fastest growing region of the United States. So, you know, people are coming here, and I think there's great reasons why people are coming here, and I think that Bedford County has a lot to offer, and I think your leadership has provided some of those benefits of being here in Bedford County. Like you said, you may not be exactly where you want to be right now, but at least we have the thoughts of being in the right places, doing the right things, at least attempting to be number one, you know, the first rural community in broadband. So what would, if somebody said, Mayor, give me your top 3 accomplishments, what do you think are the top 3 accomplishments for you in Bedford County? What would you point to?
Yeah, again, maybe I sound like a broken record, but education. We're so proud to be a part of a brand new $40+ million facility, TCAT, career technical education, state level, going to be right out on the main highway. The city and county come together to make the property available for the state to step up and build that new facility right here. We're really, really proud of that. On the local level, on the everyday level of Chad and his family, we had over 800 kids in portable classrooms in the city of Shelbyville alone when I took office. Today, we're excited to tell you we're finishing up on a $40+ million elementary school. The school board and the school superintendent have made big commitments and worked with my administration to expand at community school, expand at the Thomas Magnet School. There's an expansion coming out at Liberty School. Certainly the long-term vision of a high school there as well, and that's going to get these kids out of portables. And you know, I like to think about it like this: if we can put our adult criminals in a state-of-the-art facility, and the state mandates that, by the way, it wasn't something that we got out front and just thought was a good idea, but we spent over $40 million to build that facility. We surely have a responsibility to make sure the learning environment for our children is correct. Again, the best chance at the best outcome. No 2 kids' success path will be the same. And in my household, my children's are not the same. But each of those children and each of the children of Bedford County deserve the best chance, the best outcome. I'm committed to that. That's what I want to do. That's what I did in EMS. That was my philosophy in my tenure there as the director, was to make sure I had highly trained, highly qualified with the right equipment in the right locations to give the patient the best chance, the best outcome. Not all survive, not all end up where you want them to be with the interaction and intercession that you've done for them, but I go to bed at night knowing that I left it better than I found it.
Outstanding. I think that's a very unique and wise way to make an observation on life, is leaving it better than you found it. Let's end with this. If I gave you a magic wand and said, Mayor, you can do 3 things going forward and make them happen right now, what would your 3 things be?
Yeah, so that's a sort of an interesting question, and I thought we would probably end with some kind of something maybe framed like this or whatever. I think I would be better served to answer it this way. I want quality of life for the citizens of Bedford. I want quality of place for the citizens of Bedford. I know you clearly understand the difference. Sometimes the public interchanges those 2 things, but they really are a little bit different. And then I really want to make sure that we respect our past, our history, we preserve our values and traits. And so when I think about those answers, they're not just one thing, because I don't want it to be one thing. I think if we continue, and the folks that will come after me will do great things, and I hope they will, I expect them to. If we continue to keep those priorities important, I think that is the secret sauce for a community that people want to live in, a community that will be strong going forward, and a community that will not abandon truth, maybe is a way to say that.
All right, so we will put this out in public space, and what I'd like to do is I want to wrap up with this statement right from you. I want you to give me your best on making people of Shelbyville and Bedford and all over Bedford County understand what a wonderful place we have to live and that we're very blessed to be here. Give me your best 20-second pep talk in make us feel good about being right here in Shelbyville and Bedford.
Well, again, I think it goes back to the things we've already talked about. At the core, what I believe is you got to love people. We want to leave it better than we found it. Your circumstances don't dictate your outcome necessarily. Don't let it be that. And then I would just say this: it's been an honor and a privilege to serve. I expect and hope to serve many more years in the role of mayor of Bedford County. But most importantly, I want to leave it better than I found it. And my goal, my vision, my motto has been all along is a better Bedford. And I think even with where we have gotten to, if we did not even see any more successes, which I expect to happen, we truly are a better Bedford because of all of the good people, all the strong things that we're putting in place. And the key here is not necessarily people, it's structure. I'm trying to lay out and build a structure that people will interchange in and out as talent changes, as need changes, as people's lives evolve. You don't want everything to hinge on a person. You want it to hinge on the foundation of what we've built. That's the better Bedford. That's what I refer to when I think about better Bedford.
Well, thanks, Mayor. We appreciate you taking time, and we'll get this out to the public as much as possible. And I think it's great for people to hear your enthusiasm and your love for Bedford County. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.